In the second year of my long-distance relationship with Dylan Pay, I accompany my roommate to Southwood to catch a cheater. By chance, I saw him having a meal with a transfer student. He probably expected me to confront him like I used to, but I just pretended not to see him. My roommate became the protagonist of a Library 30-second drama, and I went with her to Southwood to expose the affair. She and her boyfriend had been together since middle school. In the end, time couldn't compete with novelty. That guy had actually been with this other girl since freshman year. That Christmas Eve, I was editing videos in the dorm while she excitedly tried on piles of clothes, asking me which looked best. She said her boyfriend was coming to see her. He traveled all the way from Southwood. When he came miles to visit my roommate, was he thinking of her or the girl in Southwood? By the time we left the hotel, it was already quite late. My roommate ended her 6-year relationship. A love that began in school uniforms ended in utter disgrace. Jessica, Sue put on sunglasses to hide her swollen, red eyes. Our ride has arrived. Just then, the man with the scratched face ran out in disarray. The car had already started moving. I cast a cold glance over. The man stood frozen, his face ashen. Perhaps he was regretting not hiding well enough, wondering how he was discovered so quickly. Neither of us were familiar with Southwood, relying solely on GPS and online guides. I heard there's a great hot pot place nearby. Want to give it a try? Looking down at a personal post, I softly asked Jessica Sue, her nose slightly red. She nodded gently. Following the GPS through twists and turns, we finally found the restaurant. The decor was vibrant and festive, with the song Good Fortune Comes playing in the background. Jessica and I were studying the menu when a commotion arose at the entrance. A group of college students walked in, both guys and girls. The boys were all wearing sleeveless jerseys. Neither of us handles spice well, so we ordered a split pot. While waiting for the food, I took a moment to reply to a few PR messages. When Dylan Pay's text popped up on the screen again, our school had a basketball game against Polytechnic University today. Guess who won? I glanced at it but didn't open the message. The red notification number beside it showed 32. This was the second year of our long-distance relationship, the second year he had secretly enrolled at Southwood University without telling me. I had already arrived in Northwood when I received his message that day. My heart, which used to leap with joy at the sight of him, died from that moment on. Jessica Sue gently nudged my arm and pointed at the group of college students across from us. Tell me, why was I so foolish back then? That ugly thing was so unattractive. What did I even see in him? Any one of these guys here is better looking than him. Amid her rambling, I spotted a few familiar faces. Among them were Dylan Pay and the transfer student, Bella Yu. Bella Yu sat beside Dylan, her eyes sparkling as she gazed at him. Dylan kept his eyes down, focused on his phone, his dark eyes looking somewhat dim. Not long after, another message from him popped up on my phone. I won the game with Wan, and there were lots of prizes. I picked a big plush toy. It should arrive at Northwood University in a few days. Do you like it? Right after, he sent a picture. I flipped my phone face down on the table as our food arrived. Jessica Sue ordered pig brain, figuring since we're here anyway. I watched her drop the brain into the boiling hot pot as she took a bite of glutinous rice cake with brown sugar. Hey, Wan, isn't your boyfriend in Southwood too? Want to swing by and see him? I added fatty beef and duck intestine to the pot, shaking my head. No need. It's unnecessary. She nodded thoughtfully and didn't press the topic further. Instead, she dug in enthusiastically, already planning where to go later and what to do tomorrow. She sniffled. I'm not going to waste my feelings or tears on a jerk like that. I'm going to eat well, drink well, and enjoy myself. The table next to us burst into chatter, and suddenly a phone appeared in front of me. A clear male voice spoke from above. Hi, can I get your WeChat? I looked up, and the boy's eyes widened abruptly as if he'd seen a ghost, exclaiming in a startled voice, Evelyn Chung. As soon as his voice rang out, the sound of chairs scraping against the floor could be heard. Alex Zhang instinctively glanced toward Dylan Pay's direction. He was already striding over in large steps. Dylan moved so urgently, probably afraid I'd charge over and tear into Bella you the next second. Back in high school, that would have been possible. Back then, my temper was like a powder keg, ready to explode at the slightest spark. I also had a strong possessiveness over Dylan. Bella you had just transferred and would ask him questions every day. It was fine when she asked at school, but after class, she'd cling to him, insisting on walking together, claiming she wasn't familiar with the area. I couldn't take it anymore back then. If you're not familiar, why not ask your desk mate to show you around? They just invited you to the snack street at Northgate, and you refused, didn't you? Do you really have to cling to him? Before I could finish my words, Bella Yu's tears fell first, her voice choked with sobs and fear. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. It's just, I still have some questions I wanted to ask Pei, and I didn't want to keep him here any longer. Sob. By the end, she was covering her face and sobbing. Seeing her cry, I suddenly felt a pang of guilt, realizing my words had been too harsh, and was just about to open my mouth to apologize. Dylan Pei sighed silently, looking at me but speaking to Bella Yu. Why must your words always cut so deep whenever someone gets close to me? The apology was on the tip of my tongue, yet I couldn't bring myself to utter it. I stared fixedly at him, my eyes welling up with tears of grievance. You spoke up for her. He pressed his fingers to his brow. I'm not siding with anyone, but you really went a bit too far. I was the one who pursued Dylan Pei, and I fell for him first. Looking back now, perhaps he only agreed to be with me back then because he was tired of my relentless pursuit. Wan, why didn't you tell me you were coming to Southwood? Were you looking for me? His eyes sparkled with delight, his voice brimming with undisguised joy. Jessica Sue dabbed a tissue to her lips and glanced at me. Then she gave an exaggerated wink. I pursed my lips. Traveling all this way to catch someone cheating wasn't exactly something to boast about. I responded coldly. Evelyn, long time no see. A soft female voice spoke up as Bella Yu walked over and stood beside Dylan Pei, as though they were the couple. Before I could say anything, Dylan rushed to explain, grabbing my hand. Evelyn, I didn't know she'd be here. Her roommate is dating one of the team players. At that, Bella's smile tightened, her eyes wounded as she looked at Dylan before turning to me with a bitter smile. Right, Evelyn, don't misunderstand. We really aren't involved. In the past, Bella's suggestive, ambiguous attitude would have infuriated me, but only because I liked Dylan. Now that I don't, I see she isn't as clever as I thought. I pulled my hand free from his grasp. I just wanted to enjoy my hot pot in peace. I understand, and I'm not misunderstanding anything. Please return to your seats. You're blocking the way for others. Dylan Pei's face paled. Wan, my friend and I are still hungry. Are you planning to stand here the whole time? My expression turned cold as I looked at him with emotionless eyes. Dylan opened his mouth, but only managed one word. Okay. I didn't enjoy this hot pot meal because their table kept glancing over at us from time to time. When we were nearly done, Jessica Sue and I paid the bill and headed out. See me walk out without looking back. Dylan immediately chased after me and grabbed my hand, his tone anxious. Are you angry? I can explain. I really didn't know she would be here today. Pulled back by him, I had no choice but to stop. Jessica's gaze shifted between us, and she cleared her throat softly. Wan, I'll head back to the hotel first and wait for you. I tried to twist my hand free, but Dylan stubbornly refused to let go. Okay, I gave a slight nod. After Jessica Sue left, I abruptly withdrew my hand and raised a cold eyebrow. Whatever you have to say it quickly. Dylan Pei stared blankly at his hand suspended in mid-air before regaining composure. He lowered his gaze to me, as if holding back countless words. Finally, he reached out and embraced me, burying his face in the crook of my neck, his voice hoarse. I've missed you so much. Hearing this, I stared down the long street ahead and let out a soundless, cold laugh, my eyes glinting with frost. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Bella Yu glaring at me with red-rimmed eyes, her hands clenched tightly at her sides. I watched her coldly, feeling no satisfaction in my heart. I merely recalled something someone once told me. When love reaches its dead end, what remains? You've been ignoring me for so long. Did I do something wrong? Dylan Pay gripped my hand tightly, bending down to look into my eyes. November in Southwood was still somewhat warm, reminiscent of Riverwood's summers. If anyone is at fault, it should be me. I shouldn't have fallen for Dylan Pay, much less pester him into being my boyfriend. I'm really tired today, so if there's nothing else, I'll head out first. I sighed softly and brushed his hand off my shoulder. He pursed his lips slightly, his eyes dimming, then smiled and said to me, "All right, I'll take you back then. Tomorrow, I'll take you out. There are lots of fun places in Southwood. Didn't you send me a video about pottery making before? There's a place nearby. Let's go do that tomorrow, okay?" In the past, I was always the one planning our dates, while Dylan Pay seemed disinterested, often telling me he wasn't in the mood. But he never knew that when you like someone, you think about them every moment, wanting to be with them all the time. Even if he wanted to go to the library, I would gladly go with him. Just being together was enough to make me happy. Once, I excitedly told him about a new dessert shop near our school and asked him to go with me. Bella, sitting across the aisle, turned around and looked at me with a hesitant expression. Dylan's grades had slipped in the monthly exam, and the teacher had just called him to the office. The implication was clear. I shouldn't disturb Dylan's studies. My hand slipped from his arm. We weren't in the same class, and though I saw he was still first, I hadn't paid attention to these scores. I froze in place, my fingers twisting tightly together. Dylan Pay sighed softly. "It's not your fault. Don't overthink it. The math was just too hard this time." The teacher was criticizing my time management. Afraid I might affect him, I gradually stopped seeking him out until the next monthly exam when his scores returned to their usual level. Only then did he come to me. "Are you upset with me?" "Bella, you didn't know the full story. She thought the teacher said my grades dropped and told you that. I already said it wasn't your fault. Last time's math was just too difficult." I looked at him with hurt eyes then. "Dylan, why must I always go to you? Can't you come to me?" As the words fell, his reproachful expression stiffened, and in the end, I never learned the answer. Perhaps from his perspective back then, I would never leave him, because I liked him so much. All my efforts were simply expected. Snapping back to the present, I chuckled lightly. "Sure." He walked me to the hotel entrance, and I turned to go inside. "Juan," he called out to stop me. Dylan Pay was indeed good looking, in a roguishly handsome way, but his personality was a stark contrast to his appearance. That was also why I liked him so much back then. I turned around, and the smile at the corner of his lips widened as he leaned down and kissed me. By the time I reacted and tried to push him away, he was breathing lightly and kissed my cheek again. "Go on up. I'll pick you up tomorrow." Frowning, I walked away. When I reached the room, Jessica Sue had already showered. She had ordered takeout and saw me return. Blinking, she asked, "Did you and your boyfriend have a fight?" I put my bag down and sat. "No." "Huh? We're about to break up." "What?" Her eyes widened in shock. "Did he cheat with that woman from the shop earlier?" I lowered my gaze to my phone, where Dylan Pay's messages kept popping up on the screen. He didn't cheat, but his feelings for me aren't that deep either. I got up to get my clothes for a shower and said to Jessica, "Let's go back to Northwood tomorrow." MHM. Hearing this, Jessica nodded eagerly while eating chicken feet. "I'll book the tickets right now. I never want to set foot in Southwood again for the rest of my life." Standing behind the bathroom door, I closed my eyes. I thought I wouldn't have any feelings left for Dylan Pay anymore, but the faint ache welling up in my heart told me that, in this relationship, I had truly liked him once. Before meeting him, I was a spoiled rich girl being ruined by my stepmother. I loved all kinds of fun, except studying. Truth be told, I couldn't have gotten into that school on my own. My dad bought my admission by donating a whole classroom building to know. One high, I met Dylan Pay in the first semester of freshman year. He was my desk mate at the time. Once, I took a week off to fly abroad and chase my favorite celebrity. When I came back, Dylan seemed a bit upset. Homework assignments and test papers were piled high on my desk. Returning to the classroom during evening self-study, I smiled and pulled out a bunch of gifts. I bought these overseas. Take a look. Before I could finish, he cut me off without even glancing. Take them away. What? I didn't understand why he was suddenly in such a bad mood. He sneered. Do you even plan on studying? Evelyn Chung? Look around. Who takes such a long vacation just to have fun? You've fallen so far behind. In class, you either sleep or play on your phone. Back then, in my mind, studying wasn't important. My stepmother had always told me since I was little that my father owned a listed company. All I needed was to enjoy myself. Even if my grades were poor, I could always join my dad's company later. He'd always have my back. That day, Dylan Pei laid down an ultimatum. Either start studying seriously from today on, or I'll ask the teacher to change seats tomorrow. You're affecting me. After hesitating for a moment, I quickly vowed, I won't ask for leave anymore. I'll study hard. Please don't change seats. From that day on, whenever Dylan saw me with my phone, his face would instantly darken. I'm going to ask the teacher to change seats. No, I won't play anymore. I was just looking up an answer. I used to rely on Dylan. I smirked self-deprecatingly, thinking that if he had told me back then he was applying to Southwood, I would have followed without hesitation. The next day, after landing in Northwood, Dylan's calls came one after another, and his messages flooded in nonstop. Back in the dorm, I sat on my chair scrolling through his messages. Despair and anxiety. Have you tasted them too? Dylan Pei. I replied indifferently. Something came up last minute. Forgot to tell you. As soon as I sent it, the typing indicator showed he was responding. A while passed with no message. Probably deleting and rewriting. It's fine. We have a match in Northwood in a few days. I'll come find you then. Are you back at school? After a moment, another message came. Wan, why didn't you ask me yesterday if I'd been in touch with her? I smirked coldly at the text. He used to hate when I asked that. Can't you stop obsessing over this? Do you really want something to be going on between us? Now, I can't even be bothered to care if they're involved. And suddenly he's unhappy about it. Dylan Pei sat in his dorm. His roommate returned and asked in confusion, Hey, why are you here? Didn't you go see your girlfriend? Dylan pressed his lips together. She had to leave unexpectedly. The roommate frowned. Without telling you yesterday, that's just playing with you. As soon as the words were spoken, Dylan Pei frowned and tried to defend himself. But his roommate cut in. Did you have a fight with your girlfriend? Dylan lowered his head and shook it. A wave of self-mockery rose in his eyes. Evelyn Chung couldn't even be bothered with him now. She wouldn't answer his calls. And it took days for her to reply to his messages. He wanted to argue with her, but he couldn't even get that far. It had been a long time since Evelyn had acted coy with him. Scrolling through their chat history, he realized she'd been giving him the cold shoulder ever since the semester started. Dude, with the way she's treating you, your girlfriend might be getting a boyfriend soon. Hearing this, Dylan refuted without a second thought. Impossible. Evelyn liked him so much. How could she possibly fall for someone else? Are you sure? Aside from yesterday, how long has it been since you two met? I haven't seen you go out together on holidays either. His roommate kept talking, but Dylan couldn't take in a single word. His heart gave a painful jolt. He'd suggested visiting Evelyn many times, but she always said she was busy. After hearing it too often, she'd grow impatient and tell him not to come. Dylan Pei gripped his phone tightly, wondering if she was still upset that he hadn't told her about coming to Southwood. Actually, on the night college applications were due, Bella Yu had sent me a video. In the video, Alex Zhang asked Dylan, You really applied to Southwood University? You're not joking, are you? With you in the south and Evelyn in the north, you'd be in a long-distance relationship for 4 years. In the dim light, Dylan's long eyelashes cast shadows as he tilted his head back for a sip of alcohol. We won't be long. Distance for 4 years. We'll break up. What, did you fight? Even though Evelyn can be a bit possessive, haven't you put up with it for 3 years? Someone chuckled and said, You said it yourself. Dylan endured it for 3 years. Maybe he just doesn't want it anymore. But then Dylan shook his head. I just feel like I don't like her that much. Bella, you told me, Evelyn, if I had met him before you did, you wouldn't have stood a chance. At that moment, I sat in front of my computer, looking at Northwood University listed as my first choice. I had filled out every university in Northwood I could apply to. Before that, a part of me had still quietly hoped for our life together in college. I know my personality isn't the best. Many times after he pointed things out, I tried to change. But if you don't like someone, you just don't. No amount of change can fix that. The last bit of hope I held for him died completely after I received that message. My WeChat is always flooded with messages, so many that Dylan's texts constantly get buried. I'm doing just fine in Northwood. I'm doing fine even without him. Jessica Sue dragged me into volunteering for an event to rack up volunteer hours. At our university's basketball arena, I immediately spotted a familiar face. Leo Xia raised his chin in greeting. What a coincidence. I smiled and nodded. Here to play basketball again? There was this huge PPT scandal at our school before. A guy was dating 10 girls at the same time. After his first girlfriend found out, she gathered evidence, contacted the other girls, and made this presentation. Somehow, Leo Xia from Polytechnic University ended up being labeled as the guy's 11th partner, a boyfriend, outside the 10 girlfriends. He rushed to post on every campus forum overnight, crying out that he's straight and only likes women. Back then, that PPT spread like wildfire, completely drowning out his voice. Every day, he posted on his Douyin account and our school's forum, I like women, I'm straight. Eventually, he even posted, I only react to straight adult videos. Seriously, stop messing with me. Do I really have to post explicit photos to prove it? I'm so done. Why am I even involved? I couldn't clear my name, even if I jumped into the Yellow River. His account got banned directly. My roommate and I followed the drama from start to finish, since that guy was in the same major and class as us. We almost died laughing at Leo Xia. He really had it rough. His photos have been posted on our school's forum before too. Someone shared his picture to fish for him. He was incredibly good looking, with an ethereal, delicate beauty. He often got posted by guys hoping to catch his attention. At first, he asked them not to share his photos, but eventually gave up and posted, Ladies, feel free to share. Guys, don't crush on me. Bro is into women. To make it worse, his old friends mentioned he'd never dated, which only reinforced the rumor that he liked men. Back then, I was a content creator, and a few times during live streams, I even showed my school's location. He immediately sent me a private message. Classmate, can you please help me? I'm Leo Xia from the nearby Polytechnic University. I'm truly desperate. I have nothing to do with that guy. I only played basketball with him once. He's a guy. I'm a guy. I like girls. It never crossed my mind. When he asked to add me on WeChat, I thought it was just a normal friend connection to hang out sometime. I really had no idea he was bisexual. Please, I beg you, can you explain the whole story in one of your videos? That incident had already been circulating around our university district for nearly half a month. Later, the girl who made the PowerPoint presentation also tried to clear Leo Xia's name, but it didn't help. The rumors just got wilder. I said, I'll give it a try. My channel's niche was college girl makeup vlogs, so I could definitely mention it during recording. Many commenters who knew about the situation were asking questions anyway. Unexpectedly, the video clarifying things for him got a lot of views. When he found me afterward, he was practically ready to kneel and call me his savior. He gave a bitter smile, opened his mouth, then waved his hand. It's just a friendly match. Forget it. It's fine. I don't add guys anymore anyway. Jessica Sue covered her mouth, laughing beside him, and he went over after the match started. Wow, that incident last time probably scared him badly. Now he's wary of all guys. I said, the psychological scar must be pretty deep. After the match, Jessica Sue and I went out to eat, and then I got a delivery notification. Thinking it was a brand shipment, I went to pick it up and found a huge plush toy. After hauling it back to the dorm, I noticed many of the packages were sent from Southwood University. I took out my phone and ordered a gift of equal value to send back to him. While placing the order, his call came through. I paused for a few seconds before answering. Dylan Pay's voice, tinged with laughter, came through. Wan, You got the delivery, right? Do you like it? His tone carried a careful, almost pleading warmth. Some are local specialties from Southwood, different from what I sent you last time. Thanks. After saying that, I put the items away. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Wait, Dylan Pei quickly said. Wan, it's been so long since we last talked on the phone. Can we chat for a bit? I replied without hesitation. I'm a bit busy right now. Bye. After hanging up, the dorm fell silent for a moment before one of my roommates softly asked, Wan, did you and your boyfriend have a fight? I snapped out of my thoughts and smiled. No. It takes feelings between two people to even have a fight. I finished unpacking the items. The package Dylan had sent contained a box. Inside were a knitted hat and gloves. There was also a note that read, Wan, Northwood is getting cold soon. I learned to make these recently. Please don't be mad at me anymore, okay? I swear I'll study for the grad school entrance exam and come to Northwood. Wait for me. I stared at the words for a long moment. Dylan, Northwood is so cold. Next time, knit me a scarf or gloves, okay? Back then, I'd seen videos of guys knitting scarves, gloves, and hats for their girlfriends, and looked at Dylan with hopeful eyes. He bent over to play pool, his tone cold. You should watch less of those online videos. Honestly, if he had casually said he'd give it a try, without actually doing anything, I would have been happy. But he couldn't even be bothered to humor me. My smile froze on my face. Unsure whether it was disappointment or heartache, I felt. On the day of Northwood's first snowfall, I was out in the snow gathering material. Leo Siam moved around as freely as if he were a student at our school. Spotting me, he waved, said something to the guy beside him, and walked over. Hey, what are you up to? I glanced at him, clueless as ever, taking photos. With him here, I felt too self-conscious to strike any of my usual poses. He offered help eagerly. Need a hand? I've got a camera too. Don't you girls talk about getting good shots? Let me help you get some. Just the chance I was looking for to return the favor. Skepticism filled my eyes. Forget it. You're blocking my shot. Doubting my skills? Leo Xia pulled out his phone, opening his gallery to show me. These are some self-portraits I took with my camera. What do you think? I leaned in to look. Wow, it really has that internet vibe. Did you Photoshop it? Hearing this, his eyes widened. With a face like mine that's flawless from every angle. Why would I need to Photoshop? Huh? Something about that sentence feels off. Then give it a try. Do you need me to take it down for you? Don't worry, I know how. A few minutes later, I stared darkly at the photos, either overexposed, pitch black, or full of noise. I shot him a sharp glare. Are you sure you know how to take pictures? Leo Xia guiltily rubbed his nose. I thought it looked easy when my sister did it, so I wanted to help. Luckily, the ones I took earlier were decent. I packed up my things and prepared to leave. He quickly apologized. Sorry, have you eaten? Let me treat you to a meal. I glanced at him, seeing how genuinely remorseful he was, and said, how about just buying me some stir-fried noodles at the Eastgate? Sure, no problem. Where's your car? I asked. Didn't you park your bike outside? At this, Leo Xia said indignantly, some genius stole my electric scooter, so I've had to mooch rides from my roommate to class these past few days. Now, looking at Leo Xia, I saw him as someone possessed by the god of misfortune. Forget it then, I'll just order takeout. Huh? Let me figure this out a bit more. I'll definitely get you a blockbuster shot. This thing can't be harder than advanced math. And I aced that. This is nothing. After saying that, he crouched on the ground, holding the camera while studying tutorials on his phone. Watching his stubborn determination, I had no choice but to resignedly enjoy the snowy scenery. The lake hadn't frozen over yet, with patches of ice floating on the surface. Bored, I glanced around and suddenly noticed a guy and a girl emerging from the other side. The guy was looking down, talking on the phone. When he lifted his head, Dylan Pei froze in place, staring blankly at me and Leo Xia. Bella Yu, following behind him, covered her mouth in feigned shock, though her eyes betrayed unmistakable glee, as she pretended to be astonished and said, Wan, who is that beside you? Leo Xia beside me was so engrossed in his research that he'd lost all sense of time and space. Don't you have any classmates or friends? I spoke coldly. But you two are alone together. I smirked sarcastically. Oh, are you not human? Or is he not human? How can we be the same? Bella Yu was left speechless by my retort. After uttering these words pitifully, she looked helplessly at Dylan Pei. Dylan took a deep breath. His eyes bloodshot, strode over, and grabbed my hand. We need to talk. I couldn't break free from his grip. Only then did Leo realize what was happening. Who are you? He stood up, frowning. I glanced at the camera in his hand. It's fine. Just hold on to my camera for me. Thanks, Dylan. You're hurting me. Let go. Dylan pulled me to a secluded spot, his slightly red eyes welling with tears. Who is he? Is he the reason you've been ignoring me? Don't you have any classmates or friends? I went back to that line, rubbing my sore hand. Just friends? Do friends have so much leisure to sit by the lake, admiring the view together? Do you take me for a fool? Dylan Pei gritted his teeth, his heart feeling as if something was choking it. I pressed my lips together, not intending to respond to him. Evelyn Chung, I'm talking to you. I'm asking who he is and why you two were sitting there alone. After a moment of silence, Dylan took my hand, his warm palm covering the red marks where he'd gripped me. I'm sorry. I was just too scared. I know you're not that kind of person. I looked at him. Scared of what? Scared, he lowered his gaze. The dim streetlight casting down, snow settling in his hair. I heard his voice, hoarse, as he said, scared of losing you. Scared of losing me? A mocking smile tugged at the corner of my lips. Seeing my silence, Dylan Pei gently rubbed my hand and whispered, Evelyn, I've decided not to pursue grad school. I'm working on a software project with friends, and we plan to set up our company in Northwood. We could buy a place there, get a kitten, or maybe a puppy, or even both. I listened in silence, watching quietly as he painted our future with hopeful eyes. Isn't it tragic, Dylan? While you were planning our future, I was already planning to leave you, just like how I once dreamed of a future with you, only for you to say you didn't really like Evelyn Chung that much. Now, you'll understand what it feels like to have something precious torn from your life. I asked, do we still have a future? Yes. Dylan gripped my shoulders tightly, a flicker of panic in his clear dark eyes. We definitely have a future, and I'll work hard for us. But Dylan, I smiled as I pulled away, a hint of vindictive satisfaction in my expression. Didn't we lose our future the day college applications closed? Hearing this, Dylan Pei's face paled, and he instinctively shook his head. How could that be? Isn't that what you said? I spoke each word, watching Dylan's face grow paler. You said you didn't like me that much. Wasn't choosing Southwood just your way of leaving me? I laughed through tears welling in my eyes. Wasn't this path between us the one you chose yourself? Dylan struggled to form words. You knew all along. I'm sorry, Wan. Please give me another chance. The moment college applications closed, I already regretted it. I thought I didn't like you that much. I thought my vague feelings were just from spending too much time together. Tears streamed from Dylan's eyes as he looked at me helplessly. After coming to Southwood, life without you has been unbearable. You're not here to tell me about good food spots or share funny things you saw. You don't reply to my messages anymore. With this distance between us, I know nothing about your life in Northwood. Seeing my indifferent expression, Dylan's heart ached with each beat. I'm terrified you'll abandon me. Only now do I realize. It wasn't you who couldn't live without me, but me who can't live without you. I've loved you all along. Can we not break up? He stepped forward to take my hand. I shook my head gently. This isn't how love should be. It shouldn't be like this. How could someone who loves you make you so sad? How could someone who loves you bear to keep us apart for so long? I turned to gaze at the endless lake. Dylan Pei cautiously approached me, his voice hoarse. Let's not break up. Wan, please don't leave me. I love you. Truly, I do. I can't live without you. The wind blew from all directions. 3 years of my youth, all filled with Dylan Pei. That year, on the eve of the athletes' exams, the school bought countless fireworks to set off. Just before dismissal, Countless fireworks shot into the night sky together, their brilliant colors illuminating the pitch black darkness. My classroom was right above Dylan's then. All our classmates rushed out to the corridor to watch without any prior agreement. I stood at the back, leaning against the wall, the colors of fireworks reflected in my eyes. In Riverwood's winter, the wind cuts like a knife, making my eyes sting and dry. Back then, I thought, if only Dylan Pay would come up to find me. They were in the honors class, so they definitely couldn't just slip out like we could. He wouldn't come looking for me anyway. But the next second, a large, dry hand clasped mine by my side. My eyes widened in surprise, and I turned my head joyfully to look. Dylan Pay was wearing his school jacket, slightly bowing his head, gazing at me with smiling eyes before casually turning to watch the fireworks. The fireworks that night were truly beautiful. We hid our clasped hands behind our backs and watched the victory celebration display together. What we had was like those fireworks, brilliant but fleeting, scattered by the wind. Just as my love for him was carried away by the summer breeze that year, Dylan Pay and I broke up that winter, and I couldn't quite describe how I felt inside. Was it a weight lifted off my chest, or had it hollowed my heart out? When friends who knew us found out we'd broken up, many said it was a shame. When they learned I was the one who ended it, they were even more surprised, saying, I remember how much you used to like Dylan Pay. Later during my senior year internship, I didn't stay in Northwood and went to Vista City instead. Dylan Pay actually came to Northwood, but couldn't find me there. He didn't know who my friends in Northwood were, wasn't familiar with my social circle, and didn't know anyone who could tell him where I'd gone. That year, a video went viral online with a line that said, "Love has its time zones. By the time I fell for you, your affection was already fading." On New Year's Eve, a call came from Northwood. When I answered, there was only silence on the other end. After working overtime for so long, staring at the screen made my vision blur. Hello? Still no sound from the other side. Along with the man's hoarse voice came a message from Leosia. If you see a snowman when you come down, don't kick it. It might be your lover. Happy New Year. Wan. Realizing it was Dylan Pay, I immediately hung up and blocked the number. At the tail end of 11 o'clock, I walked out of the company's main entrance. Leo Xia was standing below, head bowed pitifully, with layers of snow piling up beside him. He occasionally patted the snow off his head gently. Can't mess up the hairstyle. Spent ages on it. When he looked up and saw me, his eyes lit up as he rushed over and pulled me into an embrace. As the midnight bell chimed, he smiled, leaned down to kiss me, and said, Happy New Year. My eyes reflected his image. Happy New Year. Dylan Pay side story. Since starting university, Dylan Pay always felt something was missing in his life. But he didn't dwell on it, busy adapting to college life, making new friends, joining clubs, and exploring unfamiliar Southwood. It was during a gathering later that he slowly realized what was absent. At that department party, the senior sitting next to him typed away on his phone for a long while. Someone nearby teased, Senior, reporting to the missus again? Gotta do it. Or else, when she asks why I didn't reply, it'll be World War III. Dylan's gaze unconsciously drifted over, watching the back and fourth chat screen. He looked down at his own phone, hesitated for a long moment, then finally opened his chat with Evelyn Chung. Their last conversation ended with him sending a message about his trip to Southwood, which she left unanswered. It was the first time he realized Evelyn Chung was angry, but he thought Evelyn had always been easy to placate, so he didn't dwell on it, planning to send her some Southwood specialties another day during an evening class. After answering questions on the learning platform, he noticed Evelyn's profile picture light up on his social feed. Without a second thought, he tapped on it. In the photo, Evelyn wore exquisite makeup, her hair newly permed and lightened, her smile as radiant as ever. His heart ached sharply then. The distance of thousands of kilometers suddenly felt real. He had no idea what she was doing in Northwood or who her friends were. He and she had completely lost touch. But wasn't this exactly what he had wanted from the start? He immediately sent her a message. Where did you go? It looks really nice. The words felt awkward even to him. Dylan Pay typed and deleted repeatedly before sending it, a faint thread of anticipation tugging at his heart. Evelyn Chung, who used to reply to his messages instantly, hadn't responded all day. In the past, whenever she received a message from him, she would not only happily share her excitement, but also chatter on endlessly. She would even say, "Dylan Pay, you took the initiative to message me today. I'm so happy." His nose tingled with a hint of sourness and a touch of dissatisfaction. "Why didn't you reply to me?" He didn't have an 8 a.m. class, yet he woke up earlier than usual. Seeing the empty chat screen, he sent that message. Eventually, he couldn't take it anymore. Evelyn was giving him the cold shoulder. She was throwing a tantrum. The one who was always pampered and coaxed had already lowered his head. He didn't know what more she wanted from him, but that sense of frustration had peaked after day upon day of this. In a fit of anger, he typed into the chat box, "Let's break up." He wanted Evelyn to know he was angry. He wanted her to come and coax him. Yet Dylan Pay, who had once been so certain that Evelyn would always adore him, felt fear and hesitation in that moment. He was afraid that Evelyn had met another guy in Northwood and would truly abandon him. He somewhat regretted coming to Southwood, but it was already too late. Dylan Pay had tried many times to communicate with Evelyn Chung about their issues, but she wouldn't reply to messages or answer calls. It was as if she had vanished from his life entirely. One day, Evelyn finally replied with a text. "Too many messages at the start of the semester. Didn't see yours." He immediately sat up in bed, as if brought back to life. His roommate teased him. "Hey, back together, huh?" He laughed and said, "Get lost. We never even broke up." "How are things in Northwood? Busy? When are you free? I'd like to visit your campus. Or maybe you could come to Southwood. There's a lot of fun stuff here. A great dessert spot my roommate took his girlfriend to. You've always had a sweet tooth, right?" After sending that long string of text, it sank like a stone, unanswered. The hope Dylan had barely kindled was extinguished once more. From then on, their dynamic became one-sided. Dylan shared bits of his daily life, while Evelyn only replied sporadically, after long intervals. When he saw her at the hot pot restaurant that day, his eyes grew warm, and he ached to hold her. He missed her deeply. It had been so long since he'd heard her voice. His attitude was cold, and she said she had come to see him, but from the look in her eyes, he knew. No, she hadn't come for him. Bella, you had just been beside him, and, for the first time, he wished Evelyn would confront him, demanding why Bella was with him. The Evelyn who once adored him with all her heart seemed to no longer love him. Her love had been too full when she cared for him, so much so that when she withdrew it, he was caught completely off guard. He wanted to salvage something, but Evelyn was no longer giving him the chance. On New Year's Eve that year, he stood behind the green belt outside their company building. He watched as another man pulled Evelyn into his arms and kissed her. He felt like a rat hiding in the gutter, secretly spying on her happiness. Breathing became a struggle, tears blurring his vision. He desperately wished he could return to that midsummer, to go back and tell Dylan Pay, "Choose Northwood. You like Evelyn Chung. You really, really like her."